Hey guys, this is Sundown right here. This is going to be my chapter review to My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia 164, Precocious Brat. Now this chapter, it was hilarious. It was funny as hell. And I really liked it for that. It was really, really funny. But although I did enjoy all the comedic aspects of it and the comedic value of the chapter, I didn't really enjoy the focus and the lack of progression in terms of story presented by the chapter. Now I think I might have mentioned this last My Hero Academia review. Must have been 162 to 3, I think it was. But I didn't like where the story was going to go in terms of if it focused on Todoroki and Bakugo. This is one of those mangas where I don't really care for anyone in the actual manga. I don't really care much for the other characters besides Deku, and at this moment in time, Mirio and All Might. The other characters I don't and maybe even Endeavor. But the other characters I couldn't give less of a shit about. You know, Todoroki, he's cool and everything, but he's not someone I'm invested in at this moment in time. Bakugo, he's really, really powerful. He's really cool in that sense, but he's a dickhead, and I don't really like him as a character. He's just a giant asshole. So I'm not really invested. This is a really weird manga in the sense that I'm not invested in many of the other characters apart from Deku. And a lot of this, the last time we were at this provisional license exam thing, it was all about how is Deku going to overcome everything, because he's not in full control of his quirk, and he's always having to limit himself, and he's always his battle is always cognitive because of his physical limitations. So how is Deku going to overcome this? But this is Bakugo and Todoroki, you know. I don't really give a shit. They're going to get their provisional license, even if they don't get it this time, which chances are they may not. I think they will, but chances are, you know, you never know, they're gonna get it eventually. So it's not something I really give a shit about. So yeah, it was one of those things where I was just like, you know, it could go either way, but I don't. It's not something I particularly care about. So first we have Endeavor spurring on Todoroki, even though All Might wanted to stay under the radar. Now this part was hilarious because he's like Shoto, and I was like, whoa, what the hell is this guy doing? So All Might's face in the corner of the panel was hilarious. He's just like, what did I just tell you, man? And Bakugo giving Todoroki evil glares was also funny as hell. It's just like, this is funny. And All Might's face is just like, boy, I was trying to stay under the radar, and this is how you're gonna do me like this. I was like, oh my god. So that was funny. Then we have Yoarashi seeing Endeavor and reaffirming to himself. He's looking at him and he's like, you know what? That's not someone I want to aspire to be like anymore. That's not someone who is cool to me. That's not my idol anymore. After not having his autograph signed and Endeavor telling him like, yeah, you waste ass cash, you know. I was like, okay, that's cool, you know. Yorashi doing all that was fine. And then his forceful friendship with Todoroki also seems to show that he doesn't want to blame Todoroki for Endeavor's behaviors, you know. So I was like, okay, that's cool, that's all right. Also, what we find out this chapter is this is in actual fact the real Kami, and this is totally fine, and we see it when she first speaks a full like sentence. Her unique choice of words, whether it be a dialect or it's most likely an idiolect, which is her own particular way of speaking, makes her sound like she's legit from London, like London South, not even South End, East End. She sounds like she's from London's East End. She's just like, oh, she says something like, how did she say? She's like, I really appreciate all this. This is gonna be mad lit. I was like, what? This is gonna be mad lit. I was like, oh my, yo, what the hell? So I was like, okay, that's a bit. And then she's saying fam and all this. I was like, yo, okay, Kami's a straight road man. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's a bit, yeah, you know, Kami, the way she looks and the way she speaks. I was like, okay, she's a bit one of those girls, you know. So it turns out that Kami, the teachers and at least one student from Shiketsu, they know about what happened to her. They found narcotics in her blood, and they know that the Kami back then in the first provisional license exam wasn't the actual Kami right now. They know that someone took her place, and it was the League of Villains. So they knew that she was abducted. She had been abducted and everything like that. But she's fine now, and they regret not having noticed, which, now that I think about it and having mentioned it probably back then in my head just to myself, that was a bit of a stretch, because none of them noticed a girl who speaks like how she speaks. You know, she says laugh my ass off and stuff like that in the condensed form and things like that. Well, that's the manga stream kind of changing it to a Western audience, but that's essentially the same thing. You know, she has a very specific idiolect and way of being, which is very different to Toga. and they didn't notice that she was different. Well, they knew that they noticed that something was off about her, but they didn't ever inspect it. And I was like, in this world full of quirks and people having amazing abilities, that's something that surely should have come up, especially because of how she was so obsessed with UA students and how she kept going after and doing really weird things. I was like, that's something that maybe even the teachers should have noticed, like, hey, you're a bit dodgy today, maybe we should keep you out, maybe we should even check to see if you're legit or not. Who are you? You're not acting like you've been acting for the last 1 or 2 years. So it's a bit of a stretch, but I'm okay with that. Sometimes, you just let things carry on as they go on. Gangoku's entrance was hilarious, and his dismissal of Bakugo, Todoroki, and Yoarashi, that was all class. I was like, yo, this is pretty funny. And I love Todoroki's attempt to explain how feces could be used as like as a fertilizer. That was I was laughing my ass off. I was like, yo, that's pretty funny. But here's the part of the chapter I didn't like, and I'm not sure, maybe the rest of you were fine with it. I wasn't. All right, I'm just gonna say it how it is. Gangoku says to pass this part of the provisional exam, Todoroki, Bakugo, Yoarashi, and Kami must move the hearts of the kids in order to pass their test. And he does this because they all lack heart. Now, this is bullshit to me. This is straight bullshit, because it's none of them lack heart. If you know the characters like Yoarashi, my man doesn't lack heart. Todoroki doesn't lack heart. Bakugo doesn't lack heart. And Kami, we don't really know her. But in the examples that Gangoku gives, what we see is Bakugo really lacks politeness. He lacks his social aspect in terms of being a social person. He doesn't know how to interact with people because he's a straight dickhead. So we know that Bakugo is like that. But that's what he lacks. He doesn't lack heart. He lacks interaction with people. And Todoroki and Yoarashi lacked focus, discipline, and calmness. And although this test may, in actual fact, help the aspects that I've mentioned in terms of it may aid Bakugo in his sociability, and Todoroki and Yoarashi in their focus, discipline, and calmness and things like that, I feel like this all feels like very filler pampering out almost of the story, and I don't want to see this. I am legitimately uninterested in anything that they're presenting right now about Bakugo and Todoroki. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Go back to Deku. Go back to people we care about. Go back to Mirio. That'd be fine. I wouldn't give a shit about that. That'd be cool. But I really couldn't care less about Bakugo and Todoroki. The rest of you who may like Bakugo and Todoroki and like with a passion, you might have thought, yeah, this chapter was straight fire, but I was like, nah, I don't think it felt like filler deluxe edition, bro. And I was like, this is so filler, So I wasn't too fond of that. So what I did like then was their reactions to seeing the kids, which was great. Bakugo is in like a state of despair. He's like, oh shit, because he knows exactly that what this test is going to entail, and he knows he doesn't have the patience. Kami being called a hussy by the kids, by the girls, like, you hussy. I was like, yo, because she's like, she's trying to silence one of the kids. And she just kind of presses the kid into her bosom, and that kid's liked by the 3 girls. I was like, oh, this is hilarious. And then Todoroki being called 5 PP man, I was like, what the hell? And these kids are killing it. And also, the best kid by far was that smarmy comb-over kid who acts like he knows everything, and he's addressing Bakugo, and he's like, oh, I've seen people like you before. And I was like, oh, this is gold. He was actually straight gold. I was like, yo, this is funny. And then we have Present Mike, who's going apeshit because the event lacked soul, and that was hilarious. In essence, he was just bored as hell, and he wanted to commentate on what was going down. And the other thing was, Present Mike picks up a mic from like the other judges and whatnot, and I was like, Brett, do you of all people in this whole universe need a mic? Do you need a mic, bro? I was like, okay. So he picked up a mic, and I was like, okay. And then we have what was the most interesting part of the chapter for me. Endeavor questions All Might. He's like, well, this was the best part of the story for me. Well, best part of the chapter for me, story wise. He asks All Might, what is the symbol of peace? And I assume he's trying to get it all together in his head. What is the symbol of peace? What did you do that made you the symbol of peace? So I assume he's trying to figure out what he needs to do to take the mantle of All Might, because he makes a point of it in this chapter that crime rate is rising, and he needs to become more than he is. He needs to become the symbol of peace. He needs to be more than just Endeavor in order to do what All Might did, which was lessen crime rate just by existing. Just his presence in the world lessen crime rate, and that's what Endeavor needs to do, and that's what he can't do. That's what he hasn't done to date, and maybe it's something he can do, but he doesn't really have that same presence that All Might did, because All Might was also rapid as shit, and he could get to places that Endeavor simply can't get to. So he's asking him that, what do I need to do to, that's essentially the question, what do I need to do to become the symbol of peace? What do I need to do now you're gone? And what can I do to step up my game? So I was like, yeah, that's a really nice question. And there was a, like, the little note at the end of that was, Endeavor asks All Might's advice or something like that. And it is advice. What do I need to do to become the next symbol of peace? And that was legit. I was like, Endeavor swallowing his pride and a bit of his arrogance. That was good to see, and his whole like support of Todoroki and stuff. It shows he's changing as a character, and maybe he'll become someone that Yoarashi will eventually get to like down the line. So yeah, those were my thoughts on the chapter. I didn't like the focus of the chapter. I thought it was a hilarious chapter, and it was good in that sense. But in terms of story and progression, what I'm really looking for, especially considering what just went down in Shokugeki no Soma and One Piece and all that, and what's already happening in the Natsu no Taizai, this was like very lackluster in terms of story. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit.